I stay on top of my New Year's resolutions using spreadsheet formulas. Here are my favorite ones for. I used to forget all about my New Year's resolutions. I would write down my goals in a journal somewhere, and come back next year only to be disappointed. So I decided to come up with a method for me to stay on track with my goals. With the help of some basic programming. I actually used this method of tracking resolutions to land my dream job as a web developer at Radiant Consulting. I wanted a new job, so I set a goal to apply for a certain number of postings a month. It worked. I started with wanting to read a certain number of books a year. In 2017, I set 16 goals on a range of topics such as learning a new language and drawing more. The important thing is that your goal is quantifiable. You want to say something like, I want to work out 50 times a year, instead of saying, I want to work out more. Even goals that seem unquantifiable can usually be measured if you change the way you think about it. For instance, if you want to use less plastic, you can make your goal to find 10 new plastic replacements this year. You can set multiple goals across different areas of your life. Last year I had 89 goals, which was admittedly unrealistic. So I recommend picking a handful to get started. My biggest advice is to keep some of the goals fun. I pick goals that I will enjoy and find fulfilling. Don't set goals you're uninterested in or that are completely unrealistic, because then you won't follow through. Google Sheets is the easiest way to get started. All you need is some familiarity with formulas. Here's the one I used in 2017. It calculates the fraction of the year that is already passed, and the fraction of the goal that ought to be completed at this time. Round, date 365, 365, days, date 365D37, 0. In a more traditional programming language, it would look something like this. I like this one because it keeps me on schedule and tells me how far I'm away from my goals. If I notice that I'm falling behind, it really motivates me to get back on track. Here's what my spreadsheet looked like. I like to push myself on certain goals, especially if I met the goal the previous year. For instance, if I met my workout goal one year, I would want to increase it for the following year. Thankfully, there's a formula for that. This formula is for the goal to take a certain number of worthwhile photographs over the year. Round, 0 plus 1. Worthwhile pictures 2017 is a range that includes the goal from last year and the actual amount of pictures I achieved last year. I take the average of the two and add 1. I do that for a few reasons. First, it means that if I fail a goal the previous year, this year's goal is decreased to make it more realistic. Second, for small goals, it means I'm always increasing my goal. For large resolutions, like reading books, it's unlikely that I will match the goal exactly, and so the averaging makes the most sense. Inputting progress can be difficult on large spreadsheets. Updating a big spreadsheet every day can get annoying. If you track once a month, you have to remember things like how often you exercise through the month. If that's difficult for you, I would recommend keeping a journal to keep track and then inputting into the spreadsheet monthly. I actually created a web app that has a survey where I can log on about once a day and check off the progress I made. This is much easier for me. However, that requires more technical skills. My advice is to use something you understand. If that's a spreadsheet, that's fine. If that's a journal, also fine. Here's what my survey looks like. Now that I have been doing this for about 5 years, it feels like second nature. But at first, it didn't feel that way. If you're forgetful like me, I would recommend setting a monthly reminder to log your progress. It may be tough to remember at first, but it really helps you stay on track for your goals. But if this method doesn't work for you, or if there's a part that you don't like, just change it. The important thing is to find something that works best for you and how you live your life. When you accomplish your goals, it's a great feeling. I especially like seeing when I meet a goal and knowing I can push myself further next year. It's very exciting and fulfilling to see how I have personally grown because of my New Year's resolutions.